All right, we're going to review special right triangles. So the first type of special right triangle is a 45, 45, 90. So remember, if the angles are congruent, that means your sides are also going to be congruent. So this is going to be true for any isosceles right triangle. So when that happens, isosceles, remember, two congruent sides and right triangle. So it's always going to have this as its parent triangle. So notice the legs are 1. The hypotenuse is square root of 2. Okay, this is just always true. Again, if you think of Pythagorean theorem with this, if we were getting that hypotenuse, you would have 1 plus 1, which is 2. Square that. Gives you x squared, so take that square root of x. And so it always does work out to be that. Okay. Now, when we do these, we are going to leave our final answers in exact form. So you should have a radical if you are finding that hypotenuse, or you're going to use a radical if you're finding one of the legs, and we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so you can see what we're going to do for this one here. First thing we're going to find is the leg. Now, you don't necessarily have to set up the proportion to find this, because you know if one leg is 4, the other one is also going to be 4. But if you wanted to set it up, you do leg to leg, so 4 to 1, and then have the other leg to the missing side here, which is x, the leg. So those parts that correspond, we set up in our ratios. You would cross multiply, so you're going to get 4 is equal to x. And that one's pretty easy because it's set up for you. Same thing here. We have our leg to leg, hypotenuse to hypotenuse. So that's why it's 4 to 1, y to square root of 2. Again, cross multiply. You're going to get y is equal to 4 times radical 2. Okay, and that's the answer. So just practicing setting them up and leaving them in exact form. So same thing here. We're always going to go back to this parent triangle up here. We always refer back to that one. So leg to leg. It doesn't matter which one you start with. If you want to start with 1, that's fine, or x. Okay, so you can set up like that. Since we started with the 1 from this triangle, I'm going to start with that radical 2. So square root of 2 over 5 square root of 2. So we're going to cross multiply. Get that. Divide by square root of 2. All right, and then those are going to cancel, and you're left with x is equal to 5. Okay, let's try the next one here. Again, we have our missing, this one's only asking for the hypotenuse here. So we're going to set up, we have a 1 leg. We know our leg is corresponding to the 1 from the parent. So 1 is to 8, as the square root of 2 is to x. Cross multiply, x is equal to 8 radical 2. Okay. All right, and our last one here, again, radical 2 is our side length. We go to the parent function, triangle. So 1 is to square root of 2. As square root of 2 is to y. Cross multiply, y is equal to, remember when you multiply your radicals, you multiply what's underneath, so you're going to get the square root of 4 or just 2. Okay, so that is our first type, 45, 45, 90. And then we're going to look at the second type of special right triangle, which is a 30, 60, 90. Okay, so this one, you're always going to have the short leg opposite your 30-degree angle. You're going to have a longer leg that will be opposite the 60-degree angle. And of course, your hypotenuse always opposite the right angle. Okay, this is the parent that we are going to refer to and use. Okay, so opposite our 30-degree angle, our short leg is always going to be a 1. Hypotenuse is always double that, so it's 2. And then radical 3 is going to always be your long leg. Okay, so those are the ones that we're always going to refer to when we're solving. We're going to still make proportions like we did for the 45, 45, 90. Okay, so we're going to set them up here. So you can see this one's set up for you. Long leg to long leg, 6 to radical 3. Short leg to short leg. Okay, and again, you would cross multiply. 6 times 1 is equal to square root of 3 times x, and then divide. Now, again, we've got that square root in the denominator for this, so we're going to rationalize this one. Let me do that over here because I'm kind of out of space. So you get 6 radical 3 over 3. You can reduce these two because that gives you 2 square root of 3. Okay. Same thing here. We're going to cross multiply. So you're going to get 12 is equal to radical 3 times y. Divide by radical 3, square root of 3, excuse me. Okay, that's going to cancel. So you've got that 12 radical 3. Again, we're going to rationalize, and then reduce here to get your answer. Okay, let's try the ones on the bottom. So again, we're going to set up, referring always back to our parent, using these to help us set up our proportions for them. Okay, so you identify what side you have opposite the 60 is your long leg, so you know that 9 is going to go to radical 3. Make sure when you're setting up your proportion, you always need one that's fully filled in, so you don't want to start with an x and a y because you wouldn't be able to solve. Okay, and let's go start with our short leg to short leg. Okay, 9 is on top, so x should be on top here to 1. Okay, so cross multiply. You get that. Divide. Rationalize. And then simplify down. You can make that into just 3 radical 3. All right, so that's our short leg. And then we need our hypotenuse. Now there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do another proportion, or because the hypotenuse is always double that short leg, you could just take this and multiply it by 2, which is what I'm going to do since I already have this done. So to find y, move this over here, it is just going to be 2 times 3 radical 3. And you get 6 radical 3. Okay? Again, if you want to set up a proportion, feel free. You can do it that way too. I just think it's easier just to double it. All right, let's try the next one. So this one, we have the short leg. We're looking for the long leg. So short leg goes to 1. And then long leg is radical 3. That goes to x here. Cross multiply. There you go. All right, and then our last one here, so it was an equilateral triangle cut in half. That creates our 2 right triangles that are 30, 60, 90s. So this one here, it's looking for the long leg. Okay, so we have a hypotenuse and short leg. It's up to you which one you want to set up. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to use the short legs. I like the one there. Oh, and this is one again. Since we have the short leg, you could just double it, but I'll show you the proportion since I started. And that's how you go ahead and solve those. So just using the proportions, you should be able to figure out the long leg and short leg, which goes to which, and be able to do those.